Hi, I'm Kate Sherritt from Ashfords, and today I'm going to show you how to put your warp on your table loom. I'll be using the warp that I wound in the previous video. So before we begin, let's just make sure we've got everything that we need. I've got my warp. Over here we've got some cross sticks, some cardboard warp sticks, a rattle kit, which includes these wonderful ties, which we call helping hands, and these ring clips, which are fantastic, especially when you're doing a full-size warp, full width warp. Okay, and we need some scissors, cotton string, a couple of rubber bands, and a heavy book. Now, before we begin, I'd like to show you how to attach the back stick to the loom. Now, if you attach this back stick permanently and you have these loops on the end, you can just slide your warp end stick in and you won't have to tie it on each time. So all I've done is I've tied a knot, thread one through that way, the bottom one up through here, and it crosses like a number 8, and then I'm just going to tie it just in a reef knot, and that will be secure. And then I'm just going to tie a knot in here, leaving a loop, and you can see there's a loop there that we'll be able to slide our end warp stick into. Now, if you also take a rubber band and hook it on the end here, and if you put this rubber band on, you won't have to worry about tying your end warp stick on. You can just secure it with the rubber band. There we go. So we've got a loop and a rubber band at both ends. And now we're ready to take the warp, put it on the rattle, and then take the rattle and the warp to the loom. So I've got my warp here. This is the end, my rattle cross, and the rest of the warp's here. What I'm going to do is take one of my cross sticks and I'm just going to put it through the end, and then just because we like to be nice and safe, I might tie Now this is not so important when you're doing a narrow warp, but as you can imagine, if you're doing the full width, you don't want your warp to slip off the end. So we'll just do a bit of safety first and tie this on here. So now we'll take off our tie that's been securing it, and all I'm going to do is place this book, it's a wonderful book by the way, on there just to secure it. Now what I want to do is get my rattle cross. And now remember when we carefully placed our thread through, so you can see that the rattle cross has not been compromised. Everything is still in order and crossed perfectly. Take your other set of cross sticks and we're just going to place them through the cross. Super easy. This is where these ring clips come in handy. Just hook those on there and on the other end. And now we can take our tie off, so we'll just slip that off. So now we have our cross sticks through the rattle cross. We've got our rings on the end to secure it, safety first, especially if you're doing a wide warp, you don't want it slipping off the end. And all we're going to do is take our rattle and place it underneath. Now I'm just going to do this on a bit of an angle so you can see what I'm doing. The centre pin is marked, and we wound an 8-inch warp at 20 ends per inch, and our rattle groups were in 10. So I've got 10 to go in each one of these groups, so I'm just going to count out. If we're 8 inches wide, that means 4 inches on each side, so I should have 8 spaces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is where I'm going to place the first group. So we take off our ring clip on this end. Just hold your cross sticks up so nothing slides off. And what we're going to do is take the first group and we're going to place it into the first space. And the second group. Into the second space. And continue across, so you've got your groups of 10. So now we have 16 groups of 10 in 1/2 inch spaces, which at 20 ends per inch, that's going to give us 8 inches of weaving. Now what I like to do, safety first, not so important on a narrow warp, but on a full width warp, it certainly helps. Just put a rubber band over. Just so none of your threads can escape. Now we're ready to put the warp on the loom. So make sure you got your loom ready. We're going to put our end stick down. We have moved some heddles over, so enough heddles that we'll need for threading so we can get through the centre. And I've taken the reed and the beater rail off, so we just don't need those right at the moment, so that I can get the warp through here. Or if you've got a Katie loom, you can just flip the reed up and out of the way. And here we go. So what we want to do is let's take our warp and our rattle. Everything's safe, you're not going to lose anything. And we're just going to place our rattle on the back beam. So it'll just sit on there. Now I like to use the ties that come with the rattle kit. And just secure your rattle onto your back beam. Now, I can take off this safety thread, and we don't need that anymore. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to thread the ends through the loops, and I'm just going to put the rubber band around like that. And the same on the other end, so we're going to thread the end stick through the loop and then take the rubber band and put it around. So now a back stick is connected, so with the rubber bands on there it's very secure. All we want to do now is just wind the back roller on just until about here. Now comes the tricky part, winding your warp on and keeping an even tension as you go. So what I'm going to do is reach around the front And I'm just going to hold the warp at a constant tension with my left hand, or you can have somebody help you, and we're going to wind and as you wind on each layer we want to put a cardboard warp stick. The reason I like the cardboard warp sticks is you don't have to worry about lining them up and getting them straight like you do with paper. And we're just going to put one on each layer, so I'm just going to wind just past that one and then I'm going to put in another one. And again, winding just past and place in the stick. Now you can see how nicely that's winding on the back roller, and even if you've got a full width warp in wool, it still winds on just as evenly. So we just want to wind it on until the threading cross is just behind the heddles here. So we want to wind it on until there's our threading cross, and now it's just behind the heddles here, and that's as far as we need to go. And now we want to put the cross sticks through our threading cross. So I'm going to do the same as I did before with the rattle cross. I'm just going to pull this down tight, and you can see right here my cross has not been compromised, everything is as it should be. I'm just going to slip one stick through and through the other side. And now before I do anything, I'm going to check that everything is correct. And again, safety first. Pop the wee rim clip on the end just so you don't lose anything off the end. Now, everything's secure. We can undo our tie and take that out. Now we're just going to come around to the front of the loom and we're going to cut through the end, and I'm going to take the tie and just do a lark's head loop. Pull it tight. Not too tight, but tight enough to hold them, and tie it onto the front beam. And now we're going to put the helping hands on. So now we can take off the rattle. And we're just going to lift the warp up and drop our rattle out the bottom. No drama. Okay, now we'll put the helping hands on. And this will make life so much easier for threading. So take the long bit of your helping hands that comes with your rattle kit, and we'll just put it through there and through the front, and just tie it onto the front beam. Nice and tight. I know you're wondering what the heck is she up to, but all will be revealed. Just loop it through, and we'll just scoot through these heddles here so we're on the side. Pull it tight. Okay, now why we call it helping hands is because what we can do is just slip these in here, crossing them over like a number 8, It's back on for safety first. And the same on the other side. And if you just cross them over in a number 8, you'll see why we call them helping hands. Now your warp is stable, it's secure, all your threads are in order for threading, and it's not going to go anywhere. You can start threading up now, or you can go away, leave your loom for a week and come back to it. As long as there's no cats around, you'll be right.